This week is National Veteran Small Business Week, and as Veterans Day approaches, we want to pay a special tribute to the heroes who have sacrificed so much to serve this country. Our next guest has a special story about transitioning from service to the civilian world. Joining us live from Washington, D.C. is Rick Coe, a graduate from the U.S. Military Academy West Point, a retired Army officer and franchise owner of 2 Fitness Together studios in the D.C. area. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Stephanie, for having me on.
Tell us a bit about your military experiences as a tank commander and why you chose to serve your country.
Really was something that I was inspired at an early age to become an Army officer, so going to West Point was a natural fit for me. It's hard to say. I was a child of the 80s, the conflict between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. I just felt that was the best place that I could serve my community, serve my country, was to join the Army.
You currently are a small business owner, a transition you made after not feeling satisfied working in the corporate world. You own 2 Fitness Together franchises. What encouraged you to make the change, and why the fitness industry?
Yeah, so I was on active duty for 10 years. As I got out, went back to school, worked in a couple of different industries, and just not the same level of satisfaction, not the same purpose getting up in the morning, and just looking for a new way to try to find my own personal purpose, find a new way to serve my community. So I think veterans are natural entrepreneurs. I know I had an entrepreneurial bug for a long time, and Fitness Together just provided me that opportunity for me to step out finally and realize my true purpose and true calling in the civilian world.
Yes, the Small Business Administration says that veterans companies contribute more than $1 trillion each year to the U.S. economy. Now, let me ask you this. What do you think are some of the biggest difficulties servicemen and women face during their transition into the civilian world, and how do you think they can overcome some of these difficulties?
Well, I think service members are a lot like athletes. And I think because you're so immersed into the military culture, it's part of not only your work life, but it's part of your personal and home life. And when you come out, you feel like you lose a little bit of your identity. And so for me, joining Fitness Together, the fitness was a natural fit. Becoming an entrepreneur was something that it felt right. It was something that I feel in the Army. As a tank officer, I learned to be entrepreneurial, and so joining Fitness Together, stepping out, getting out of the corporate structure, provided not only purpose but helped me kind of tap back into that military identity that I missed. I think that's probably the number one. That's probably the number one facet of military life that people most miss when they come out, is losing that sense of purpose and losing that sense of community that you have with your fellow soldiers.
What skills would you say were translated over from the military and useful to you in becoming a small business owner?
Well, I think people who don't serve kind of misunderstand how the military operates. We really have a decentralized command structure. We expect soldiers at the lowest level to understand mission, their task and purpose, what their commander's intent are. We know that once action starts, that often you're going to have to act and accomplish your mission in the absence of direct orders. So I think, we can overcome, we learn to persevere. I think that's a natural fit in the entrepreneurial community. Being a Fitness Together owner, certainly I've had my mettle tested during the recession. It's not easy operating a boutique fitness company during a recession. But I think our model's resilient. I think the resilience of the other veterans in my community, something that we learned in the military and something we can carry forward as entrepreneurs.
Rick Coe, thank you so much for your service, and thank you so much for joining us again.